BK200 by Coleman CDI box swap. So this is the stock CDI box that comes from the factory on this 200cc, and this is the new racing CDI box that does not have a rev limiter on it. We're hoping it'll give us a little more performance. The CDI box comes with this connector on it, and I had already cut the wires off and tinned them over. And on the factory harness comes with these style connectors that plug into the top of the original CDI box. So we pulled the terminals out here at the wiring harness. We're going to cut those off, and we're going to put our own connector on so we can run this new CDI box. So we got two power wires. We got a power and a ground right here for the CDI box. They have to be next to each other. The blue and the yellow need to be next to each other, and the two green wires need to be next to each other, so that when we wire the harness side of the BK200 wiring harness, it matches up and we don't fry anything. So we're going to use the barrel end of the connectors for the male connector block, and then we'll use the bullet style connectors inside the female terminal block. Grab some needle nose pliers real quick. There's one done. Next one. So the way we put these in here determines the way we have to wire this connector on the harness, the wiring harness, so that they are in the proper orientation. They only fit together one way. It only goes in there one way. So we'll put our red and our black on one side. Click right up in there. So red and black are on one side there. Then we'll put our two greens next to each other. And like that. So that's the completed connector. You can get these connectors anywhere, eBay, Amazon, anywhere. just a regular automotive connector. Good for 12 volts, couple of amps. Now we'll go back to the buggy and we will wire on this side of the connector and it'll plug right in there. We'll be good to go. So we'll go through and snip these old connectors off. So on this wiring harness, you have a white with a black stripe tracer, and that is your ground. That'll go to your black wire on the CDI box. You got a black wire with a red tracer on it. That's your 12 volt power. That'll go to your power wire here. You have a white with a blue tracer that goes to your blue wire. You have a black with a yellow tracer that'll go to your yellow. And then you have two solid green wires. They go to the two solid green wires. That easy. We'll strip the ends of these. The Bentley dog. Alright, so the easiest way to plug these all in is you can pay attention to on here, there's like a 6 there, there's a 3, and there's a 1, and they correspond to the other side. There's a 1, there's a 3, there's a 6, and when these are plugged in that way, 3 to 3, 1 to 1, 6 to 6, you can plug these straight in, kind of keep it like this, and take your wires. So you got your black with red tracer is going to go to power. That's going to go right up in there. Lock it in. You got your white with a black tracer, which is your ground. It's going to go in right next to it. And then just below your ground, you have your black with yellow tracer. It's going to go in right there. Make sure it locks all the way in. Your white with the blue tracer is below your yellow. That's going to go in there. And then both of your green wires are going to go in there and there. And that plugs together and makes a real nice connection. So you can take this out, the CDI box burn up or whatever. You can get the tool to remove the terminals out of here, or you can use like a little paper clip or whatever, but it'd be easier to put this connector together on a bench than it is to have to sit down here and solder or whatnot. I took this rubber mounting grommet off from the old CDI box so that we can mount it to this tab here. We'll slide that right down over this so it sits in there. It'll stay there. We'll tuck this connector right there with the rest of them. There's, you got your fuses, you got your starter solenoid there, and everything gets packaged underneath this nice little box that says electrical box. If I can get this to fall down onto there. And we'll screw that in a little bit. But that's where your starter solenoid and your CDI box and stuff like that. Your coil is up towards the front of the chassis up there. It's up by your battery and your rectifier and stuff like that. These are pretty good little machines. You can get them at numerous different outlets and retailers and stuff like that, and they're actually fairly cheap for what you get. So now we got the electrical box fastened back down. It's good and secure. We'll start this thing up and see if it runs any different. It sometimes has a hard time starting when it's cold. It's got a electric choke, but it's in neutral. Uh-oh. Wow, that runs a lot better. Never started up that easy before. Runs pretty good. Curious as to see what's going to do out on the trails and in the yard and stuff like that. Subscribe to our channel and you'll see all the updates of what we have going on in the garage. There's mini bikes and other go-karts, and work on a little bit of everything.